Welcome back to Firestone Forge. I've been processing this deer hide over the past couple of days. It's been an issue with the weather. The weather has been totally rainy and cloudy and non-cooperative, so I've not been able to get this hide out here to dry and also to break it or stretch it. Today I'm going to wring it out and see about brain tanning it. So once I get that part done, then you've got to break it and constantly work it over a breaking stump or whatever. I have a rod or a post that I'll end up using, and I'll show you guys that as well. But for right now, let's get started. So here's our hide. What you're going to want to do is locate the butt and the front, and you're going to want to drape it over accordingly. Now, you don't have to have much hanging over, just enough, okay, just a little bit. And then you take the front piece and you just barely drape that over as well, okay? Now, you want to spread it all out, and then slowly but surely what you want to do is you want to roll it up. Then we take a second stick and we work it around. Now this post should hold, so you just kind of roll it up on itself, very slowly, very carefully. Now, the better of a roll you do, the nicer things will come out. You'll end up getting a lot more water out. It won't fall apart. The first time I tried this, I didn't roll it well enough, and so it wanted to unravel itself. I didn't do it the right way. It just takes a minute, and patience is a big thing. So, if this is your first time trying it, take your time, do it right, do it well. So once you've got it tightly rolled together, it looks nice. You take you another stick. Now this could be a shovel handle. It could be, this could be a broken piece off of a sledgehammer, you know, like a big old sledgehammer handle. It's whatever you have available. You just take it, carefully slide it through until it's about halfway. Now, you just keep a downward pressure and slowly turn. Okay? Now, water is already running out of this thing quite a bit. You just want to keep on going at it. Now, what you're going to want to do is just kind of go slow. The slower the better, if you will. Keeping constant pressure, but you're going to want to do this multiple times. Now, if you just do it one way, you'll actually leave some water in. One of the best ways of doing it is doing it 4 times for each wringing process. You're going to want to wring it a couple of times. This is just getting the regular water out. You're also going to want to wring it again when getting the brain tan solution out, so that way you can get a more complete brain tan. There's a really good series of videos by, I believe, a gentleman named Xavier de la Flore or something like that. He's got a little thing in his last name and I don't know how to pronounce it. But it's there on YouTube, and it's a really good series. I believe it's 6 videos, and he goes over how to do this as well as the brain tanning and everything else like that. So if you have any questions, I would definitely check it out. That's where I saw this technique from. So I'm just going to keep this going, and when I move on to the next step of like moving the hide, I'll end up coming back and showing you that. But for right now, I'm going to cut the camera. So I spun this around one way, then I brought it back around and tightened it up the other way. So now I'm going to undo it. Still a lot of water trapped in there. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull out the stick. I'm going to rotate the hide about a quarter of the way. See, there's a lot of spots where the water pools up, where it gets tight in one spot but it stays kind of loose in another, and so the water ends up pooling in there. Now, you do want to move slow, especially once everything really gets tight, because if too much water is left in a pocket and you press too hard or too fast, apparently you can cause a rupture. I've not seen it happen, nor would I want to. The whole point is having a solid hide with as few holes in it as possible, so you don't want to create any more. Once your hide is wrung as far as you're going to take it, all you have to do is, again, unroll it just like how you rolled it up. Now there'll still be some moisture and everything in there. Once you unroll it, you're going to want to take it and open it up. So use your breaking stick, or whatever you'd like to call it, and make sure that it's all the way open. You want the hide pliable, and you also want it opened up. You want there to be a space in between the fibers on a very small level, so that way when you use your brain tanning solution, it's actually able to penetrate deep into the hide and put the oils and everything that it needs back in there. That's kind of the whole point behind it. So unroll it, and I'm going to get myself set up over here and move the camera. Alright, so once you've got your hide pulled out, it'll start to dry, and it'll get these colorations to it, like the brown. Okay? Now, you want to work it over a post that's got about a 45. Now, this could be a stump in the ground that you've got like a 45, but not a sharp top, where you can work that over. There are several different things you can use. However, me, I had gotten this piece of wood and I had cut it because I was going to use it as a fleshing beam, and it didn't end up working out. I have the pipe that works better, so I just kind of put this here wedged in my tailgate on my pickup. So you just want to work it, and as it starts to dry, you'll see, like as you work it, the brown will go away and it'll be replaced with white, and it'll be very dry, or it'll start really drying up. That's what you want. You want to have the area open so that way it'll be able to receive new moisture, and that's what the brain tanning solution does. It adds the oils and nutrients that it needs. Now, you want to make sure that you get as much opened up as you can, especially down at the ends and everywhere. Now, some areas you can actually just pull it like this and it will open. That's fine. You're going to, of course, want to still have a fleshing beam, or whatever you'd like to call it, breaker beam, but if you can open it by hand, fine. It's a question of, well, your own preference, really. Okay. I've done this. This is how I've done it. I know that it works. I like it. So that's what I'm doing. Alright, so I got this big old pot of water, and I had to put it on the boiler for a little bit on my stove. Now, you just want to warm the water up, and you don't need an excessive amount of water, but I wanted to use this large pot because the last time I did this, I used a much smaller pot, and it was harder to get the juice, the slurry, whatever you'd like to call it, the solution, to be on the hide without like spilling over. So I used a much larger pot this time around. Also, you're going to want brain. Okay? Now this I got from where I work in the meat department. It's $3. Okay? Now, if you go to a local grocery store, to a meat department, ask if they can order it in. That's how I got it in. There was a lady a couple of months ago who actually came in and started tanning a few hides, so she had us specially order it. I had deer brain from this hide, and I had tried to tan this hide the other day, but the problem was that the weather did not cooperate. So it was sunny at first, and then it ended up raining pretty bad and stuff, so I had to call it a day. I actually was unable to put any solution on it at all, so I had to throw it out. So, pig brain. Looks just like you'd expect brain to be. Now, what you're going to want to do is you don't have to use this whole container. You can use about half or so, but you'll want to mix it in. Now, you can use gloves if you'd like. It doesn't bother me. I play with dead animals all day long, so it's not a problem. But you're going to want to mix it in thoroughly. So, okay, we'll call that about good. That's about half a container, maybe a little bit over, about 2/3. So what you want to do is you just want to mix it up. Okay, get your hands in there, squish it through. Yes, this is probably a little bit fairly disgusting for the average person, but it's not that bad if you're used to it. You just kind of mash it up, make sure that you get a nice slurry going. You can take bits and put it in your hands and kind of do that with it, you know, turn it into a nice little paste. Okay, and then get it back in the water. Keep on doing that. That's another option. Alright, so once you've got the brains mixed up thoroughly, you'll have this milky substance. Okay, it'll look white and kind of, well, pinkish white and milky. Now, that's all fine and good, and there will still be a little bit of hunks left in there and stuff like that. That's fine. Of course, try and get it as mixed as possible. Okay, but what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to take your hide. Now, there's two ways of doing this. You can take your hand and rub some on. That's fine. Or you can take the whole hide and submerge it. Okay. Now, I'm just going to put it in here and mix it around for a little bit. Once you're done doing that, okay, mixing it, you're going to want to wring this out again. Okay, and you're going to want to wring it out, you know, like tan it, wring it out, tan it, wring it out several times. Last time I did it twice. This time, let's see about doing it 3 times. Once you've got your hide suitably soaked in the tanning solution, you're going to want to go back to your wringing beam, and you're going to want to have your bucket positioned in such a way that when you start to wring it out, you'll actually be able to catch most of your slurry back in here. So I'm going to get this set up. I'm going to show you me wringing it out, and then we'll go back to breaking it. Now, once you've got it all tanned, you just want to break it again. And this will be the final step of the tanning process. What will happen is there will be one more step after it's all after you've got all the tanning solution in it, you're going to want to break it and make sure that it's all very loose and pliable. You're going to want to keep it that way. You're going to want to keep on working this thing. It'll take hours. So be prepared to spend some time doing this. This really is an all-day project. Once you've started brain tanning, you pretty much can't stop until it's done. Unless you don't want the project to be finished correctly. Now, thing is I'm actually going to break this and tan it, run it back through the solution a few more times, okay? Then I'll end up just breaking it until it's dry. Now, the last step is smoking. You want to smoke the hide using a punk wood, or something that smokes but doesn't have much flame. And you don't need a big fire. And I still have to do that yet for the other hide. But I'm trying to get them all ready to go, so that way when I do a burn, I can do them all at the same time and make life a little bit easier. The smoking them actually preserves them, because once this thing is all tanned, with the brain tanning solution, if you get it wet again, you'll have to break it. But once it's smoked, you won't have to break it again. You can get it wet, dunk it in water, wear it, swim through a lake, and it'll be fine. But that's only once it's smoked. Alright, so it's been a long day, kind of exhausting, and we're finally there. So this is the finished product. Now, it's soft, it's got a little bit of crinkle to it. I've kept on working it, and I'm going to continue to work it even though it's dry. I'm going to work it a little bit more over my beam tomorrow or the next day, just to kind of get the last little bits softened up. But man, this thing is smooth like nobody's business. There's a couple of spots that feel like you wouldn't believe. It was a lot of work. The biggest thing you got to think of is the more effort you put into it, the better it is. So this came out very nice, and for a second go, I couldn't be happier. So yeah, so that's the basic process. Now, the only thing I have left to do is to smoke it, and I'm going to wait for the weather to start turning a little bit, getting a little bit more into the winter, when everybody is starting to, or fall I should say, when everybody's starting up their chimneys and fireplaces and stuff like that, because right now it's the middle of summer, and last year we had a pretty bad fire come through and ravage a lot of stuff. And I don't really need to be starting up any kind of, it's not a large flame. You don't want flame, you want smoke. So you want to use things like punk wood or whatever. But for right now, I'm just going to leave this be. I got this one and the other one that I've done. And until those are smoked, that's the process. Very time consuming for the effort. Now, you'll spend several days just letting it soak, depending on what kind of solutions you're going to use. If you're going to remove the hair, then you're going to let it soak in lye. That takes a couple of days. You're going to want to stir it and move it every couple of hours, or at least 3 times a day if you can. So that way the solution is fully penetrating and it's moving around. The first time I did my hide, I didn't stir the solution, and so the hide just kind of sat in there. So some areas the hair slipped off easy, some they didn't. That was a major factor in that, but you learn as you go. So I'm really proud of this. I'm excited for the next project. I've got a bear in some water over there, salt water right now, so that's going to be the next project. A friend of mine gave me a head and paw on bear hide. So that's going to be the next project. But anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll check you guys next time.